Hi and welcome back to the Academy of Historical Fencing. I'm Nick Thomas, this is Esther Gibson, and we're now going to be working on the Taylor 10 lessons from Charles Roworth's manual on the art of defence. Now, so far we've been working through all of Roworth's work that he wrote himself. In the third edition onwards, from 1804, he included the 10 lessons of Taylor, and they first appeared in the Angelo 1799 broadsword posters, the 10 divisions. They are almost identical, the Angelo poster, to the Roworth edition 1804 onwards. There are a few little tweaks, primarily that thrusts get added into the Roworth version, and there were no thrusts in the old Angelo 1799 version. So for that reason, I think the Roworth ones are slightly better, but the poster is epic for actually using for reference and working out exactly what's supposed to be going on, because obviously it's a visual aid. So use the poster, but if you want to work with the Roworth one, you need to see where the differences are. Primarily, as I said, the thrust work, but it starts off, the first few lessons are the same. So these lessons, they're very much designed for a military discipline structured system of, you take a whole body of troops, line them up, you'll have basically a sergeant or an officer, usually a sergeant, will call out the commands, so you don't have to remember these things, not even the person who's issuing the commands. You could have a sheet to read from, which is actually referenced in one of the units that Angelo was involved in. They actually talk about how they do it from a sheet. So you don't have to remember it all. You just need to remember the sort of programmed responses that are part of this system. So when somebody cuts at the head, you know that it's a Guard of St. George to parry with. So you need to know those things, and those things are taught in the manual exercise, the solo drill that is so useful and is already included in this series. So you need to know the responses, but you will be told as an attacker what to do for your attack and defense. Now, it's a partnered exercise, and of course this series is HEMA at home. It's designed for solo exercise because most of you don't have a partner. But it is a really good technique for solo drills as well. And the reason for that is that one side is always calling the orders to the other. So I'm going to show you how it will work as a partnered exercise as it's written in the manual. And then I'm going to step out and just call the commands to Esther, and you'll see exactly how they're going to work as a solo exercise with no partner. So it works both ways. So you can use this for your regular partner drills, and you can use it for solo drills at home. With the Taylor lessons, it's always you're being told to attack and then defend, attack and then defend. So nobody's ever getting hit. There's always a response all the time. So there's no actual contact at any time. So there's always an attack and then a defense. Okay, I think that's enough to get started. We'll start on lesson 1, we'll work through them. Personally, I think you can reduce the 10 lessons down to about 6, because I think there's a lot of redundancy in them. I think, yeah, I'll talk about that in another video, because I've reduced them down, not altered them, just reduced them down to the 6 out of the 10 that I think teach you what you need to know out of this system. But I'll go through the 10 anyway, because I know some people want the completeness out of it. So let's start lesson 1, and it's really nice and simple. As we go through, there are so many more exercises added. It's 4 commands for the first one, and we get to sort of 10 commands as things go on, and longer, 14 commands. So it can be a lot to take in. Let's start with lesson 1. Really core basics. So it's all about the head and the leg with this one. So let's get into our guard positions. You can start in a range of guards for this, but I'd personally suggest starting in outside to begin with for both of you. It's just my preferred guard anyway, and it works quite well. So we're now in our outside guard. Make sure that your distance is correct, and that means that Esther can, on a lunge, hit me in the head. There we go. So that is making sure your distance is correct. That's your now start distance. The commands are cut at my head. So I've slipped back into the foot, back in the slip position, and Guard of St. George. Then defend your own. So a mirror of what just happened. So I've now attacked with a cut 7 towards the head. Esther has used Guard of St. George. Then cut at my leg outside. I shift back into the slip position and avoid it whilst moving into the Guard of St. George for defense, and also to set up the next strike. And finally, defend your head. Good. And recover. So that's the whole sequence. There was explanation in there, so you didn't get to see it smoothly, which is why I'm going to repeat it in a second. But the offhand, as ever, you can do whichever you want with this. You can throw it back, as in sort of palm out. You can keep it on the hip. Roworth likes to do both, so as you see fit, you decide on that. But make sure you recover to a good guard. So when the drill is complete, and I say recover, you recover to your outside guard. You don't go slack and lazy with it. It's so important to this system. I mean, it is to swordsmanship generally that you defend after everything that you do. Okay, so into outside guard, cut at my head, guard your own, cut at my leg outside, defend your head, recover. And again, cut at my head, defend your own, cut at my leg outside, defend your head, recover. Okay, so that is the lesson 1. It's just that simple, but it teaches some really good mechanics, because a standard head cut, a good defense, how to slip the leg when it's attacked and set up that either time shot or counter after it. So there's some really good principles in there. And in fact, that particular exercise, you can keep it going as a repetitive drill, just one after the other, which is going to be a good exercise physically. There's no really need to do that. The lessons are designed just to go through those set sequences and then move on. But that's lesson 1 complete as a partnered exercise. But now we need to see how it works solo. And it's easy to see how it'll work, because my responses aren't necessarily too important to what Esther's doing. So if I now stand out off to the side, and I will call the commands. She has not got an opponent to actually respond to now, but that'll be fine. So, ready? Cut at my head, guard your own, cut at my leg outside, guard your head, recover. Good, and once more, cut at my head, guard your own, cut at my leg outside, defend your head, recover. Good. So there you have it. There is lesson 1 of Taylor's lessons from Roworth edition 1804 and 1824, so the 3rd and 4th editions. And you can see how it works really well as a solo exercise, whether you've got an opponent or not, but it would be obviously useful to have an opponent. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe if you haven't already.